In a few short days, we will celebrate a holiday honoring the life and legacy of a great champion of justice, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Most of his work happened in far-off places like Montgomery, Birmingham, and Chicago.
However, there was one sunny Sunday in the spring of 1959 when Dr. King traveled to the Eastern Shore to give a commencement address. Secrets of the Eastern Shore's Jim Duffy, well, he wasn't there, but he is here to tell us about this memorable day. Thanks for
Good afternoon. I was actually still in my mother's belly then.
Okay. Well,
A couple months later.
all righty then. So, Dr. King on the Eastern Shore, that must have attracted a lot of attention.
You would think so, right?
Right.
He was a big national figure by this point. They'd already done the bus boycott that made Rosa Parks famous.
Right, okay.
He'd written books that were a big deal and led other movements.
So there must have been bajillions of people there.
There was almost no media coverage. There was one little story in the Salisbury Times that was about 6 or 7 paragraphs, and it was buried deep in the newspaper. I know. It always makes me wonder, like, what is happening today that 60 years from now people are going to look back and say, how did you miss the significance of
Jim
this
Duffy
coming out?
on Delmarva Life.
But you are right that a lot of local people understood how significant it was.
Yeah.
There were only 53 people in the graduating class at what was then called Maryland State College and is now the University of Maryland Eastern Shore.
Right.
They all got 2 tickets, so that's like, what, 150 people all told. The old Kaya Gymnasium on the campus in Princess Anne had more than 1,000 people packed into it. It was packed to the rafters.
Wow.
So is there any idea what he talked about during the speech?
Only from that little story. There was no script, there was no recording. He spoke extemporaneously, just got up and talked. And so in that little article, they paraphrased a few things. They say he talked about the history of slavery for a little bit. He talked about how African Americans serving in the 2 world wars had kind of changed attitudes about segregation and justice. You know, you go fight for your country, lose your life, risk your life, come back, and you're facing this segregation and oppression and everything like that. It's like, when is this country finally going to live up to the ideals that it proclaims over in Europe and everywhere else around the world? And you know, he did what all commencement speakers do. He told people to excel and try to be their best and all that.
That is absolutely remarkable.
There was, the University of Maryland Eastern Shore website has a lot of really wonderful material about this whole era of the civil rights movement and what their graduates did. One of the stories interviews 4 graduates from 1959 who were there.
Yeah.
One of them had the reaction that I would have, which is he had to go up and get his diploma and shake everybody's hand.
Right.
And he got done shaking Reverend King's hand and said to himself, "I'm never washing this hand again." Right? That's
pretty big, yeah.
Another woman, interestingly, was struck. She'd seen him on TV and she'd heard his booming voice, and she was struck by the fact that he was so short. He was just 5 feet 7 inches tall. Another woman recalled how the effect his voice had on her body. She just said, the word she used was, his voice did something to my body. So,
Really?
you know, I'm imagining kind of like a vibration or
A chill.
a chill or something along those lines. And one last woman remembered a quote, which is very interesting because there's no actual written record. It's a very famous quote that's often attributed to Dr. King, but historians say we don't know that he actually said it. And that is that faith is taking the first step on a stairway when you can't see where the stairway leads.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah.
How about
Well, thank goodness for you.
No kidding.
We have Throwback Thursday, Secrets of the Eastern Shore, Jim Duffy. Another fantastic story.
Thank you. Oof.
Yeah.